Good afternoon, good evening, colleagues. Welcome to the first monthly webinar for the Local Governments and Municipal Authorities Constituency towards COP30 in 2025. This is another journey we're kicking off today onwards, our year-round engagement in the climate negotiations and climate action, global climate action. As our usual practice, we are just allowing a couple of more minutes for all the colleagues to settle. Therefore, we appreciate your patience. You can see the agenda on the screen at the moment, but we will just gradually start in 30 seconds. And thanks for your patience. Okay, I think we're all settled down. And once again, welcome to the monthly webinars for the local governments and municipal authorities constituency towards the end of the year, COP30. It is the first webinar of the year in 2025. My name is Yunus Erkan. I'm the Director of Global Advocacy at ICLE Local Governments for Sustainability, and I am facilitating these sessions in my capacity as the focal point of the local governments and municipal authorities constituency to the UNFCCC. These webinars are continuing over the past few years. It has been a practice that we have this monthly dialogues in terms of housekeeping rules. These are recorded. We usually go through a presentation that takes around the 30 minutes. In some cases, we have guests contributing depending on the agenda. And we then open the floor for a dialogue among the participants. In case any urgent points you find appropriate or needed, you can type it in your chat box or Q&A boxes so that we can respond if there's any burning correction or clarification. But we also prefer to have a dialogue after having the complete overview. The sessions recordings are made available afterwards, and then you receive your mail accounts, the presentation and recording. Before kicking off today I would be alone in mainly leading the agenda. I know a number of colleagues from the LGMA constituency. They are here with us. As this was the first year, we thought it better to have this let's say kickoff dialogue. I will touch upon some key progress coming up, but this session is more like refreshing ourselves about what we have achieved from COP29. What are the key upcoming announcements, calendars, and how we would strategize. Before kicking off, I also would like to extend our deepest solidarity and condolences, especially for all the human and natural lives lost in the fires in California and Los Angeles. We would like to commend all the officials who have done their best to respond this serious emergency, and we know a lot of efforts are still ongoing. I think this is just another remark that we are facing such extraordinary conditions of our natural systems and urban systems becoming much more interrelated, and with the global warming exceeding the threshold of 1.5 degree above the average compared to pre-industrial level this year already. We are expecting this to happen anywhere, anytime, and every month we are exposing another experience. So this time it hit our colleagues in Los Angeles and California in the same days. The eastern coast were struggling with the extreme cold, so that's the new reality we all know is unprecedented extremes in the natural systems, and that's why it's even more important for all of us to step up and make sure that we avoid the unavoidable, and we avoid the unthinkable, and be well prepared for the unavoidable. I also would like to extend my condolences to my home country, Turkey, with the devastating fire of the winter resort. I have heard so many of my colleagues losing their friends. It's a terrible experience, and the scale is going higher and higher. So yeah, this is just an introductory, and some personal remarks as well. Those who are joining us online, there may be some faces that or names that we may not be familiar, because these webinars are announced on social media and LGMA ICLE accounts, and it's accessible for all people on the internet. So there may be participants who are not necessarily members of the LGMA constituency. So we are the voice of subnationals, namely cities, towns, regions from all diversity and all nations. Since 1995, the first Congress of Parties. Now, this year we will be celebrating the 30th anniversary of the COP processes. The first COP was in Berlin in 95, and since then ICLE is the focal point, and LGMA has been involved. So we try to influence the negotiations, support the action agenda, which is a legacy from Paris Agreement, collaborate with the presidency so that they can deliver the end of the year process, and ensure outcomes, and safeguard their implementation, and especially also work with all the other parties and the secretariat so that we can shape the process together. Where as of today, as far as we have tracked, we have more than 60 accredited organizations to the UNFCCC Secretariat, but these webinars and other tools of the LGMA are beyond the official accreditation. Because this may take time, and we know we're open, inclusive in terms of receiving inputs and showcasing our achievements and success stories throughout the year in the UN processes. One of our important tools is these webinars for communication. You can see the calendar here. We are already mapped our monthly webinar calendar. These are taking place in 2 time zones on the third Wednesday of every month, more or less, depending on some overlaps. We can revise the date, but for 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Central European time or Central European summertime is fixed. So once you register in any of those time zones, you will receive accreditation to the others, and we recommend you to do the same for the other time zones if you wish to attend. We know during this first couple of weeks of the year, there may be some colleagues who may not have done this, so we will reach out all our partners for reminders, but we also would appreciate if you can help us so that those colleagues who would like to join these, please register yourself so that you can follow the updates appropriately. Another tool we have is our monthly bulletins. This is usually taking into account all the discussions we had, both summarized in the webinars, but also that reaches to us during this month. And it is usually released on the last day of the month. So next edition will be issued next week, January 30th of 30th of January by the latest. We also recommend you to refresh your subscriptions. We also have an informal WhatsApp group and an email chain. Especially, we're trying to make sure that those accredited and then those involved with us are part of this, especially technical mailing updates and WhatsApp groups as well. So that's the other tool we're using it. A recap of our journey from 92, when the UNFCCC was negotiated and adopted, until the last COP in Baku. We described this in 4 phases. The first couple of years, we were excited because building on the Agenda 21, local Agenda 21, we were an accredited or we were recognized as a constituency. But it was a bit surprised, because although we were active on the local Agenda 21, UNFCCC and COP30 protocol did not acknowledge us as appropriate. So it was a kind of, the first 10 years was relatively low profile. The second phase starts for us from Bali onwards, when the UNFCCC, the Kyoto Protocol entered into force. The nation started to we started to open negotiations to design the second phase of the Kyoto Protocol, which was supposed to be concluded in Copenhagen. And that was the moment we said that it could not be possible that this mistake is repeated third time. So non-recognition of the UNFCCC, non-recognition of the Kyoto Protocol, this cannot continue. So we kicked off our ambitious and flagship local government climate roadmap. The aim was to ensure recognition, engagement, empowerment in the new climate regime after the first phase of the Kyoto Protocol. We reached to Copenhagen, negotiations failed, but we did not give up. We have even elevated our voices. We have started to engage even more actively, starting from 2010. Even though we were very active in Copenhagen, we have elevated onwards, and we have even pushed we were the ones who supported to rebuild the trust to reach to the Paris Agreement. And Paris Agreement, during these processes inside and outside the UNFCCC, we made sure there's the first recognition of all levels of governments in the UNFCCC space. After 2015, when Paris Agreement was adopted, our engagement inside and outside exploded. This was a simply a condition demonstration that the moment you recognize, or the moment we are recognized in the process, we can help the implementation and we can make a change. And that was the whole spirit from 2016 onwards. Our major achievement was the Glasgow Climate Pact in 2021, where the term multi-level action, the urgency for multi-level action for the first time in the UNFCCC document. We continued our work from Sharm el-Sheikh. We have kicked off the first urban and climate ministerials, the first collaborative initiative surge, and then we reached to Dubai, building on the Stockdeck experience. We have reached paragraph 161, where parties are urged for multi-level action. We had our initiative with the parties, the CHAMP, and in Baku, we had reached to the multi-level action partnership for resilient and sustainable cities. In addition, a mitigation work program decision was also focused on cities, buildings, and urban environment, which is the legal background that gives us the way forward. Just for recapping of how we were engaged in Baku, you can check our website, which contains the links to our statements, pavilions, and also the photo archive and videos, the daily videos as well. So if we can remember how was our practice, we are based on 5 mechanisms: official negotiations into the UNFCCC sessions, press conferences, high-level segments, closing and opening plenaries, and we also participated in the ministerial sessions to the extent possible. We were particularly using our multi-level action and urbanization pavilion as our home, as the stage, the global stage during the Blue Zone, at the Blue Zone in the negotiations in the COP29. We have been participating in the initiatives and process of the presidency, COP29 presidency, including the side event and the Leaders Summit, the Urban and Climate Ministerial, the 3rd edition, which also witnessed the launch of the MAP initiative. And obviously, we also, together with the high-level champions, supported the action agenda as well, including follow-up from the previous years, but also introducing new concepts as well. Other pavilions and the UNFCCC side events was also our featured engagement. These are opportunities that we can go outside our own space, but influence and introduce ourselves to the rest of the other venues and platforms. And these are, of course, in-person interactions mainly, but we have also followed very closely the negotiation text, especially on mitigation work program, finance, adaptation, loss and damage, and global stock takes. We have daily mailings. We have video coverage of every day, and we have video interviews with our LGMA leaders, our press release, joint statement, and suggested texts are available on our website. Our positions that was drafted through a collaborative effort helped us both our preparations and influencing our dialogues at home before COP starts, but also to formulate our key ask for the negotiation text. The three as the dedicated chapters was really helpful for us to go deeper, but the executive summary was also helpful for us to make sure our leaders are speaking on one voice and making sure our messages are presented to the political level as well. And we are very grateful for the more than 80 or close to 100 cities, regions, states, all levels of local and regional governments and their partners in endorsing this process as well. It's screenshots of our links from our website, and that is also the coverage of our diversity from north to south, east to west. You can see how we were able to make sure LGMA is unity in is demonstrating a unity in diversity and showing our ambitious commitment to make sure both the global process but also national processes evolve. A special thanks to all the co-hosts and the partners on behalf of ICLE and UN Habitat, who are the co-conveners of the space, as well as the diversity of our speakers, panelists, and participants. This was also the space where we had make sure that every day we have used this as our meeting point for our strategy throughout the day. For through the LGMA daily briefings as well, and we believe this was instrumental in achieving our outcomes in Baku. Now we are preparing for COP30. Obviously, we are remembering the meeting in Belém this year will be shaped by what has been announced or committed in Dubai and Baku. If we look at back to Dubai, we were very happy with the CHAMP initiative. We were very happy with the UEA consensus with ambitious commitments and references to us. But we have seen a relative stand still or incremental progress or lack of progress in many agendas. One of the concrete things is the escalation of the Global Climate Fund, climate finance from global north to global south to from the public budget from 100 billion annually to 300 billion by 2035, but also including additional 1,000. What we were saying that this was not enough, and we have seen many decisions are either postponed to the future sessions or the references were very weak. But we were also very happy. We had the 74 numbers increasing from 72 in Dubai to 74 in the CHAMP endorsements, the initiatives by the presidency, and our engagement was helping us to make sure that we build the bridge towards the NDCs, the new NDCs, and we were aware it was a difficult year, and now we also see some signals, and we will discuss it today and onwards as well. This is a chart that we use in every presentation, especially to track who are our counterparts in the decision making in this process. Obviously, the host country will continue to be responsible for the implementation throughout the year, but in particular until the next 6 months. And our Azerbaijan government will be taking this role. And it's a normal practice that this presidency, after they host and deliver their COP conference, their capacity, their budget, their prioritization may start to decline gradually. And that is the moment where the incoming presidency starts to take up the process. And that is the beauty and the beast of the UN process. Every time a presidency has to take up, set up a team, sometimes they're familiar, sometimes not. The conditions and the priorities, of course, change. So while the number is 30, we always say that every COP is a unique COP and it has to be assessed on its own. We are also aware this year, this is the last year of the Troika, which is a legacy from the ministerial, from the consensus in Dubai. So in fact, Emirates, Baku, Azerbaijan, and Brazil are working still, sharing some tasks, especially for the 1.5 degree aligned NDCs. That is their main task. So the presidency still continues to take responsibility of all the topics, but this troika is focusing particularly on this new NDCs. If we see now, last year, the Azerbaijan presidency announced their teams in all full details as early as 15th of January. It was a surprise because they were just announced a couple of weeks before in Dubai, but they had demonstrated very, very powerful and committed leadership, and they continued this throughout the year. They had introduced so many new ideas and introduced so many mechanisms, and it was, although it was coming from a non-annex one, 9NX2, let's say, although Azerbaijan is in Eastern Europe, it is considered still a developing country in its sense, and it is its ambitions are not as key as the way the COP28 and COP30 also agenda was also shaped. So they in that sense delivered a very successful transition COP, let's say, including the finance outcomes. In that sense, we want to commend once again their collaboration, their leadership, despite all the challenges they have faced. As of yesterday, we are now aware of the strategy more or less shaping up. So COP30 presidency is now stepping up. That's the very good news. Brazil is a very important country. They're part of BRICS. They're part of the G20 leadership, and they have so many contributions into the UNFCCC process. And everybody have all of our partners have huge expectations. The first announcement is that the COP president designate is Ambassador Andre Del Lago from Minister of Foreign Affairs. You are aware, every country may decide on how they will lead this process depending on the expectations. So there are cases that ministers environment, ministers of foreign affairs had been hosting the presidency role, which is the overarching strategic guidance. In the case of Brazil, we have Minister of Foreign Affairs. Now we have a new title, COP30 CEO, which is now assigned to Anatoni, Miss Anatoni, the Undersecretary of Minister of Environment in Brazil. Obviously, this is a new position, and it also shows how Brazil is really thinking about how to lead this process. Obviously, these announcements come from the president's office. So president of Brazil is the body, and their coordinating structure are the ones who are leading, deciding on these. And they have made a balance that the negotiations, because of its unique nature, could be handled by the foreign affairs officials, and Andre Del Lago is one of the most seasoned negotiator. For the LGMA, we also have huge respect and dialogue with him personally and institutionally. So we are very happy for his mandate. But Anatoni, she has been also instrumental on all the policies on climate and environment, both inside Brazil and outside. And she's also taking a significant role by taking the role of the CEO. So we are still waiting for announcement on the champions, climate champion, youth champion, the assignment of the contact points for the observers and the subnationals. Let's remember, Brazil is also a unique country with its own diversity and inclusiveness in terms of whole of government and whole of society approach. Minister of Cities is a unique body inside the Brazilian government that is remarkable compared to others. And there are so many other institutions, especially the collaboration with states and subnational governments and local governments. We already have seen this in the NDC. We will discuss this. So we are expecting additional announcements in the making anytime. This gives us the hope that now COP30 presidency will start to shape their priorities and set the agenda, so that our waiting moment is more or less over. And it's also timely because you just heard about the announcements coming from the U.S. So this is in fact a positive feedback, saying that now the climate community can also respond to what's going on. We don't know whether the presidency will assign an advisory board. We look forward to providing names, or we look forward to them inviting local and subnational leaders to the extent possible. Um, we are all focused to the end of the year COP in Belém, but officially countries or parties to the Paris Agreement are enabled to present or adopt and present and communicate their nationally determined contributions 3.0s, which is called the new national climate plans, anytime. Uh, they can even improve the existing submitted documents, but they can also withdraw or revoke. That's the beauty and beast of the Paris Agreement flexibility mechanisms. By the way, when we say NDCs 3.0, there is also a concern or the debate that whether or not we should always, along with NDCs, we should also say the national adaptation programs or plans or others. Our thinking is that because of the commitment and the experience of all the climate plans implemented over these years, the good practice will be these new national climate plans will be encompassing both mitigation and adaptation and loss and damage. There is huge discussions and difficulties in making this a compulsory guidance. The parties are rejecting or resisting any any guidance or impose any principles imposed by the UNFCCC. So there may be countries who may encompass it. There may be countries who may not, and there are countries we have seen that they focus more, they prioritize more adaptation than mitigation as well. It's particularly for the least developed countries. So the good news, as of today, 22nd of January, 9 out of 198 parties, which is 4.5%, have submitted their documents. The good news is it could have been zero. Therefore, we are happy. Obviously, there is an informal deadline of February 2025. This was the legacy of the Kyoto Protocol era because the parties were asked to submit their documents as early as minimum 6 months before. The reason the UNFCCC was in the past reviewing and the parties were accepting or rejecting such documents or introducing some quality control. In the case of NDCs, that kind of a process doesn't apply. So there's no compliance as such. Therefore, they don't have to go through a UNFCCC scrutiny. Therefore, this February deadline is not necessarily a strict deadline. So anytime, as we have seen in the case of the past, during even COP, parties can present their national documentation. So while February is a let's say interim indicative deadline, it's not a fixed deadline. So we still have a long way to go. Obviously, you can say that 90%, 95% is not there yet. Yes, it's a possibility, but it's a good news. There's a better news. 44% of these nine NDCs, the NDC 3.0s, came from the champ endorsers. These are United Emirates, Brazil, United States, and Panama. Of course, as you have noticed, I have highlighted the US on a bold because that was submitted on the 19th of December and 20th of January, the 47th president of the United States announced that the US will be withdrawing itself from the Paris Agreement. This is still, of course, up to legal discussions because if you read the executive order, they say it's immediately when the special envoy is assigned to UN, they will communicate this communication to the UN Secretary General and UNFCCC. They will immediately revoke any of their financial commitments, but they did not make any direct reference to their NDC yet. At the entry into force of a revoking or withdrawal takes 1 year. So as soon as the documentation comes to the UNFCCC, in the next 1 year, they're still party to the Paris Agreement. And it's up to the United States whether they also send another message saying that we are withdrawing our NDC as well. But as long as this doesn't come, it is still on the UNFCCC webpage. You may not find it in the White House or EPA, but you can find the US NDC in the UNFCCC webpage. And these are the extracts that you see, and that's the best news. 100% of these 4 national determined contributions, the new versions, the 3.0s by all the four champ endorser parties are excellent in terms of their strong and good practice on multi-level action and urbanization. The way climate federalism is assigned in the Brazil and the sea, the way US says that my commitment is contributed by the states and subnationals and tribal governments and local governments, the way Emirates says that Champ has been instrumental for us, the way Panama says that I'm working with all my local governments are really extractions that we will be very proud. And that's why a dialogue with our champ endorsers is important so that they can continue to show the good practices in terms of how they incorporate local and regional governments in the design and implementation. A couple of updates on the last since our December webinars, the announcement of the lead authors or the announcement of authors list for the IPCC special report on cities. This is designed to be presented by or concluded by March 2027. There is a total 90 plus authors. These authors are assigned to each of the specific chapters, and they are either announced as contributing a chapter lead author or reviewer. No, not reviewer. What was it? Review editors. This was a process that was presented or proposed by the parties and accredited observers to the IPCC, and then it was decided by the Bureau of IPCC. The good news we have, of course, this is a unique mechanism for IPCC. It's since 2016 when we have been building this process. Now we are coming to the 10th year. We have been opening the space, or we are helping the IPCC to open the space to they call gray literature or brown literature or data and knowledge producers in addition to scientific information producers. So urban practitioners, scientists from extraordinary non-traditional climate scientists such as urbanists, anthropologists, sociologists are also coming on board through this IPCC special report. Let's also remember this is the only official special report as of today adopted under this AR7 cycle, and others are still in the negotiations, but this is already kicked off. So we are well advanced on any other processes in the IPCC. So the list includes 5 urban practitioners. When we say practitioners, the consensus is that when these are the people, the experts who have been officially engaged as a staff or a leader of their one or two or more than one local and regional governments in their country or across the world. We're proud Kathy Oak, Deborah Roberts, Risto Vevo, Liliana, Miranda Sara, and Geraldine Fleuger are these that could be considered under this category. But we are even more happy. The other nominations coming through national governments, either as a scientist or government expert, is including also so many friendly colleagues: Omar Revi, Harriet Buckley, Aziza Akmush, Felis Krutsik, Willem Solaski, Sobakar Dokal, Jose Oliveira, and more and more. So this is an exciting process. But of course, they are in this process in their individual capacities. Their national governments or nominating partners are helping them, for example, to participate in their meetings, but they are not representing their institutions or national government. They are there on their own expert, and they have their special track agenda. They will convene in their meetings and several times in the years. And once their first drafts are available, IPCC accredited organizations and parties will also be communicating their views as inputs to this process. As of today, we have ICLE and C40 among the LGMA partners from the UN system, UN Habitat, and OECD as an intergovernmental organization who have the authority and right to nominate experts and also submit expert comments as well. So we will continue, but of course, the IPCC science work has been a collaborative effort of the LGMA partners. We are opening the space, and we will be accordingly contributing to this work in the coming years, months, weeks. It's a long journey, but we are already very, very excited that this will help us to move forward. Now, what to expect in the next 12 months, let's say. This is a chart, as you may remember, we are following in three tracks. The LGMA track, the events that we convene, the UNFCC events, because outside UNFCC, there are also several processes, and the global agendas, which is they are not bounded by the UN rules. These are mainly initiatives by a group of parties, and but the reality is that their outcomes could give us the hint about how they will negotiate it when they come to the UN meetings. So this chart shows you the list that we have worked on as of December 2024. You may have received from the emails the LGMA constituency partners have received their access to the LGMA COP30 tracker. We are hoping that we will make sure a revised version of this calendar, because there are some meetings already canceled or revised, or some processes clarified, announced, introduced that doesn't exist here. But as an so in the upcoming bulletin on 30th of January, we will release a revised version of this calendar. So we encourage you to take a careful look at it. But as a bird's eye view, what we know this year, the both UN and UNFCC meetings schedule is less hectic than 2024. This can turn into a good opportunity. This means our partners and leaders can dedicate more time to communicate their feedbacks and inputs to the national governments and their capitals and across other processes. So we can consider 2025, the first couple of months until October or September, is really hands-on at the national level, at the town halls, at the capitals, and that we have to really translate all our achievements or our visions to the new national climate plans. You have seen we are already in a very good position with the existing indices. The goal is to make sure, and you may remember, UN Habitat has released the urban components. We are still far ahead in the potential of our contributions that can be much better reflected. We still have a potential of 75% can be much better improved in this process. So this is one track that we have to follow. But we also would like to kick off internally within the LGMA a process throughout this February, the month of February, an internal consultation regarding lessons learned about how we have performed throughout this past 2 years. Obviously, Belém and beyond Belém will be something different than what has been the past. We would like to take lessons from our joint position preparations, joint working groups, but we also would like to elevate and in concrete terms from ICLE, I'd like to propose the LGMA constituency also considers to elevate our drafting committee to a new position like the LGMA steering committee. So we will get back to some ideas about how we can discuss this. We'd like to use a couple of webinars internally so that we can have this negotiations internally and present our outcome both to the global task force meeting in Barcelona, or use that meeting also as an opportunity, but provide the results to the February webinars of the LGMA. Under this condition, town hall COPs, the new mechanisms of national engagement becomes even more powerful and more relevant and very, very crucial. You are seeing that the global decisions, the global processes are relatively weakening, are becoming less enforcing, and this means the national processes has to be even stronger. And this depends on the level of ambition, depends on the way we are engaged in this process. Through our town halls, COPs, we can feed to our national associations and national governments. We can also use this as the information source to the LGMA so that we all bring this to the UNFCC, and then we can bring back these negotiations and results to our town hall COPs, which will continue next year. When we say town hall COPs, we are saying that under these conditions, climate and sustainability has the best chance to shape in the NDCs 3.0. This new NDCs 3.0 are very likely the most empowering tool that can shape the future of our sustainability efforts. This should be much broader than what has been the case. It should be local, subnational, and national, the multi-level angle. It should be ambitious, integrated, holistic, from consumption-based emissions to food, from loss and damage to culture should be incorporated here. It should be inclusive, innovative, and collaborative, which means all actors of our society should be involved. And the local governments are the best to bring this, from informal sectors to scientists, local business, and youth and aged communities. It should introduce new elements. The citizen climate councils, these kind of new mechanisms could be used, and it should be collaborative so that it is an iterative process. We will not just stop and convene and stop, but we will ask our national governments, what can we contribute? What did you already agree that, so that we can change or improve our capacity, so that it is an iterative process. And hopefully we will bring this result so that you do not have to go to Belém to be part of the global climate process. You do not have to go to be you do not have to be in Belém if you want to change things at home. So you can also change it through your town hall COPs. And in that regard, daring cities who have been an instrumental mechanism from ICLE will continue to shape this process with all the collaborative efforts with other LGMAs. And we are already prepared for a mid-year stock take on the 18th to 16th to 18th of June, the first 3 days of the SP62 in Bonn. With this, I'd like to announce that our presentation for today is now concluded. I know it may not be easy to listen one person in 40 minutes. But we believe this now is laying out the ground for us for our activities. The floor is open for all the colleagues if they wish to participate in raising their hands. My colleague Johanna will help me. Or you can type in the chat box. This is the moment where we are opening the space for ideas, any points that missed, or any updates from your side, or any comments on what has been presented. I don't see direct hands raised as of now. And I'm just checking whether we have any points in the chat box. So our colleagues Amelia says Happy New Year. Amelia from GCOM, obviously. Thanks, Amelia, and on your behalf, all the GCOM partners. Obviously, I was saying that in the first couple of weeks of the first couple of weeks of the January, there were some things that were a bit on hold, and there were some things that was very rapid. The rapid action was obviously from the incoming Trump administration, that you have seen they rapidly rolled out their agendas. The other part of the picture, the other part of the coin, COP30 presidency, our partnership with the CHAMP and CHAMP mechanisms are still probably digesting all what has been announced from the US. Obviously, US is only one of the parties, but it is particularly important. We are also seeing, and it's not just limited to the US, especially in the global south, global north, sorry, the G7, all of them are going through national domestic challenges. Many of them are prepared for elections or revising their positions about how they will deal with this. G20 colleagues, they are very, very also watch and see mode, but G20 agenda is announced already. The working groups are announced, whereas G7 is silent. And that's one of the reasons why Canada is going through its domestic challenges and other G7 countries. So G20 is also watching and seeing very likely what's going on. So that's the reason why it's not so easy to commit anything now, and we are aware of it. Therefore, we are still waiting for some more updates in the next couple of days and weeks. My colleagues in the chat box are asking for more information about the Daring Cities program. Happy to come back in a minute. There's also an update from Eva Banyos from CMR. Thank you for the preparations. Thanks, Eva. For the Daring Cities, this is... I see also Ariel here. I'm not sure whether you would like to jump in, because it may be better to have a different, at least voice, or face in the screen. And as our lead for both ICLE's communications, but also LGMA working group on communications, Ariel, would you like to briefly share our colleagues about what Daring Cities is and how this contributes to the year-round engagement?
Hi, yes, sorry, just jumping over to the panelist mode here. Took a moment. Yes, Happy New Year to everyone, and really looking forward to getting started with the planning for COP30, especially looking at, of course, the use of the position that we had such a good experience with the last 2 years, and I think we just keep learning and iterating on that. So I'm definitely prepared and happy to bring that forward from the communication side and really think through strategically when we're best positioned to deliver that throughout the year. I think two other things just to note from my end. One would be that Matteo Bizzotto on my team here will be leading on kind of the uh, day to day or week to week, month to month engagement on comms. So I'll be working with him on kind of the strategic decision making, but he's really going to be your main contact for certainly for the community bulletin, which again, if you are familiar with it or subscribe to it or haven't yet, this is our, I would say, quite a growing popular newsletter. And throughout COP, I think that's when we get the most engagement with it from everyone involved in the LGMA, and I think this may be more on people's radars because it's a daily offer during COP. But throughout the year, this is your space to help us to define, what your colleagues across our networks and across local and regional governments around the world should be hearing about the advocacy process. So it's again an invitation to all of you. We share a call for content. If you aren't seeing that call for content, please reach out to us. We're happy to add you to that list. And we'll also, I think, make that available. We haven't made the call for content available in our WhatsApp group, but we'll start doing that so that folks do see that on a regular basis. So again, that's sort of the community space for news and insights and anything that you think would be appropriate for the advocacy world to see. So yeah, and Mateo's putting some contact information into the chat. And just to say, we're really excited to work with you this year on so many different initiatives. And we have a big, from the ICLEI side, we have a big blog post coming out today looking at the agendas for the year. And I think, that type of content, if you have a look at it, we're really excited about your own outlooks as well. So if you are doing that kind of work for your constituencies or for your organizations, if you have kind of material that is looking forward at 2025, looking forward to different agendas that you might also be participating in, we really welcome that content as well. So those are a few of my opening thoughts for the year.
So maybe we can, thanks, Ariel, and so happy that you are continuing to support and lead our colleagues, and especially a strong support to advocacy process. And we have enjoyed how this communication advocacy teams have been working hand in hand. And as we said, the elevating of the internal LGMA working groups, introducing a new body like a steering committee will also help us for you also to help us to convey our advocacy messages and build it further as well. So there were two questions or three questions on the Daring Cities and Town Hall calls. That's really very exciting for us. Daring Cities is a process that ICLE and City of Bonn is convening since 2000. Nine, ICLE's World Secretariat is based in Bonn. Bonn is the UN Secretariat seat and many other international organizations. So since 2010, we are convening this back-to-back engagement opportunities with the UN negotiators and the LGMA community. It started with resilient cities. So in that 10 years, we have really introduced the concept of resilience if there's no Kyoto Protocol 2 or mitigation aspects are going worse. There should be more discussion on preparedness for resilience. And we are all aware that this is becoming really a more acute issue, and the resident cities has helped a lot to build this congress. Starting from Paris Agreement onwards, we have introduced the concept of daring cities, especially since 2020. The logic is that we are in the climate emergency mode, and climate emergency offers opportunities. The climate neutrality goal by mid-century is also a transformative agenda. So we are trying to invite urban leaders to tackle on climate change, climate emergency, and particularly pushing the idea of multi-level action and urbanization into climate dialogues. So during the COVID era, it was a virtual and hybrid format. So as of today, we are taking a year-round engagement. In the first couple of months, we have a reflection about what has been achieved, and then we have an exchange, which is in-person meetings in Bonn and virtual forum throughout the weeks afterwards, and then we come to the COP30 in the negotiations and the multi-level action and urbanization pavilion. In that regard, the emphasis is really reaching out to the experts, practitioners also, who are not necessarily the negotiators, but really the people who are delivering all these ideas into the realities. So in that sense, it is really the place for us where we cook our concepts and bring these ideas to the negotiation table, at least from ICLE point of view, but we have so many other partners involved. This year, we will have two webinars in March, 5th of March and 9th of February, 9th of April. The in-person meetings will be back-to-back into the UNFCCC meetings on the 16th and 18th of June. Some of these events will be inside the UNFCCC. Some of them will be in the GIZ Auditorium, a key partner to our process, together with the German Minister of Development Cooperation, BMZ, as well as City of Bonn as the official host of this process. Then we will roll out our agenda for virtual forums. Now, Bonn Dialogues and the Daring Cities Forum has been instrumental in formulating how emergency mode of action could look like. And during this process, you remember there was the stocktake efforts, and local stocktakes were shaping the idea of how we can use the town halls more effectively. The logic is that in a traditional local climate planning or subnational climate planning, you focus your own neighborhood. But we want to say that since Glasgow, since Paris and Dubai, we are part of the new NDC process. That once a year, once in a time in a year, the communities at the neighborhood level meet with their local government and invite their national government to discuss where are we in our national planning, how are we advancing in our local climate action, and how we can bridge these two, and how this can be shaped in towards both at the local national but also to the UNFCCC. The examples of the stock takes, the local stock takes, was inspirational. We submitted these to the UNFCCC through the side events and our reports. We had really seen how youth, the indigenous communities, our disadvantaged groups can connect to their local governments, and they can be informed about national process, and they can make it even more impactful. Therefore, this 2024, we did not work on that process because of our efforts to focus on the CHAMP implementation. But now the NDC mechanisms are ready. We will be rolling this out, and together with Earth Day Network, we will have these sessions. And the modality is that we will also support those in the Global South if they would like to convene this kind of meetings with a stipend of around $3,000. We will ask for applications. We will ask them to go through some minimum efforts. The three minimum requirements will be broad participation, focusing on agendas, and then make sure there's a dialogue with the national governments. As long as you can commit to deliver this, you will be entitled to be hosting a town hall COP, and then we will bring these results to UN in June and at the COP. That is how I would like to continue. Ariel is kind of sharing the report from the previous year. Ariel, I think it will also be good if you can share our blog on from Daring Cities to Town Hall COPs. We have also a nice blog on that. And the announcement is coming from Earth Day and ICLE today, a revised announcement, we would like to use the Earth Day as an important leverage to raise momentum. So we'd like to show the first experiences, examples around Earth Day, which is 15th to 22nd of April, but it will continue throughout the year. And we are more than happy to work with you, those interested partners, to shape these events and look forward to your participation and rolling this out. Ariel also shared in the chat box the details and more to come soon. Earth Day for us is important. Earth Day this year is celebrating its 55th anniversary. Earth Day has been an instrumental mechanism 55 years ago, really a bottom-up contribution to national policymaking. This was 20 million people on the streets in the US. That was instrumental to kick off the EPA. It was instrumental to kick off UN Environment Program. This bottom-up engagement, 55 years later, is still valuable and even more needed when there are certain challenges in domestic and global mechanisms. So it makes sense for us to empower Earth Day through town hall COPs and then extend this discussion throughout the year. So we are very happy with the Earth Day network to support us, and we will continue to provide more updates on that. Excellent. Johan also shared the Daring Cities links for participation. Matteo shared the bulletin registration. That's great. We have one more message a bit at the end. Patrick is responding to Ariel on the town hall COPs. Excellent, Patrick. We'll be happy to connect you and follow up after this call. And anyone who wishes to follow us on that, feel free to send us an email indicating your opportunities, and further online tools will be coming in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for our additional updates. Colleagues, any other complimentary remarks from other participants or questions for clarifications? I see Danya, who is ICLE Africa Secretary Secondee to high-level champions. I know they are excited to welcome the new high-level champion from Brazil, hopefully to be announced soon. Obviously, with Nigar, we will continue. From Dubai, we have launched very good examples of new concepts like urban nature, Sharm el-Sheikh adaptation program. In Baku, we have kicked off the idea of an informality, and I think especially when Belém will be the COP for Amazonas or COP for indigenous people, it will also be helpful for us that in the urban space, we can also open the space for informal groups to be more active and involved. That's why town hall COPs are very valuable and important. That's great. You may have remembered we had our colleagues from the biodiversity community. We know there will be some follow-up meetings this year, but the main mechanisms are already adopted in the wider space. But this year's biggest challenge will be, which was a legacy from the desertification COP, is that we are trying to now elevate our engagement in the Three Rio Convention space with an even more powerful engagement. And we will review this as part of the Daring Cities agenda every year in Bonn, which is the seat for UNFCCC, the desertification, UN climate change, and also IPBES, which is the scientific arm of the Biodiversity Convention. And in fact, today and tomorrow, our colleagues UCLG are also kicking off our journey of the year with a very exciting meeting, Intermediate Cities Forum, to be being hosted in Cuenca, Ecuador, and that will also kick off a regional roadmap towards national roadmap towards COP30. We're looking forward to very nice dialogues and outcomes from the Cuenca meeting of Intermediate Cities Forum. And once again, congratulate both Mayor of Cuenca as well as the UCLG colleagues who shaped this agenda. Good. One last more minute. But we can also save one more minute. Thank you all for your interest and participation. Stay tuned. I will repeat this at the 4 p.m. European time. Those who are positioned, you can join us. If not, you will receive the mailings, and we look forward to your commitment, dedication to make sure we don't give up. We are focused to make sure our dreams come true and we offer our livability and sustainability of our livelihoods for our current and future generations. Take care and have a nice day and evening.